Hare Krishna. We continue reading from teachings of Queen Kunti. We are on Pray 14, Lord Krishna's wonderful activities. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 31. My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. We have been reading the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and we will continue reading. What to speak of finding Krishna? Materialistic scientists cannot properly understand even material objects. They are trying to go to the moon, but actually they do not know what it is. If they understand what the moon is, why do they come back here? If they knew perfectly what the moon is, they would have resided there by now. They have been trying for the last 20 years to go there and stay, but they're simply saying, not this, not that. There are no living entities, and there's no possibility of a living here. Thus, they can report on what is not on the moon. But do they know what is there? No, they do not know. And this is only one planet or one star. So Prabhupada is saying, it's not by saying, oh, this is not there, this is not there, this is not there. Do we actually understand how thing is actually is? Can we understand how things are by just saying not this, not this, not this? But what is it actually? According to the Vedic literature, the moon is regarded as a star. The scientists say that the stars are all suns, but according to Bhagavad Gita, the stars are of the same nature as the moon. In Bhagavad Gita 10.21, Lord Krishna says, Nakshatranam aham shashi. Of stars, I am the moon. Thus, the moon is just like the many stars. What is the nature of the moon? It is bright because it reflects the light from the sun. Therefore, although the scientists say that the stars are many suns, we do not agree. According to the Vedic calculation, there are innumerable suns, but in every universe, there is only one. So in the Vedic scriptures, we hear that there is only one sun in every universe. And the stars are reflecting the light of the sun. What we see in this universe, we are seeing imperfectly, and our knowledge is not perfect. We cannot count how many stars or planets there are. We cannot fully understand the material things existing all around us. And therefore, how can we understand the Supreme Lord who created this universe? That is not possible. Our senses are very imperfect. We are so confident of our imperfect senses that it's amazing. We are not even able to understand properly this material, this world, this earth that we are living in. For the last 2 years, we were just suddenly in this so devastated by COVID, the entire world, and no one knew where it came from and what's happening. So we are not even able to understand our Earth planet properly. So how can we claim to understand other planets? How can we claim to understand God? How can we claim to understand the spiritual world? By our material understanding, by our imperfect senses. It's not possible to understand the Supreme Lord by material senses, by our material mind. Therefore, in the Brahma Samhita 5.34, it is said, Pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayor athapi manaso muni pungavanam so api asti yat prapada simni avichintya tatve govindam adi purusham tam aham bhajami. Space is unlimited, and the Brahma Samhita suggests, suppose one travels by spacecraft for millions of years at the velocity of the wind, or even the speed of light. Everyone knows that the mind is so swift that in even 1/10,000th of a second, it can take us millions of miles. If we have seen something millions of miles away, the mind can go there immediately. But if we can travel at that speed on a spacecraft manufactured by Muni Pungavanam, the greatest scientist and most thoughtful man, will that be perfection? No. The Brahma Samhita says, so api asti yat prapada simni avichintya tatve. Still, this creation will remain inconceivable to our understanding. And Krishna has created all these things. So how can we study Krishna? If we cannot understand the things Krishna has created, how can we understand Krishna? It is not possible at all. From Brahma Samhita, the prayers spoken by Lord Brahma, he is saying that the mind is so swift. Our mind, if we have experience that's so fast, we are sitting here, but it could be millions of miles away. It can travel very, very fast to very distant places. So Brahmaji is saying, if suppose you create a spacecraft which can travel at the speed of the mind, the speed of the mind or the speed of the wind, okay, even if you create this, still you will not be able to understand this creation, this material creation, we will not be able to understand, neither with our mind or even if we create a spaceship and we go travel there with as swift as millions of miles. So the point is, if we cannot understand what Krishna has created, then how can we understand Krishna? Therefore, the mentality of Vrindavan is the perfect status of mind for devotees. The inhabitants of Vrindavan have no concern with understanding Krishna. Rather, they want to love Krishna unconditionally. It is not that they think Krishna is God and therefore I love him. In Vrindavan, Krishna does not play as God. He plays there as an ordinary cowherd boy. And although at times he proves that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotees there do not care to know it. So the Brajbasis, they don't care whether Krishna is God or no. He sometimes shows them that he is God, but they don't care about it. They just want to be with him. They just love him. They love him unconditionally. They think, oh, whether he's God or no, they're not concerned with that. They're just concerned with loving Krishna. They're not thinking, oh, because Krishna is God, I should love him. That is Braj Prem. Kunti, however, was not an inhabitant of Vrindavan. She was an inhabitant of Hastinapur, which is outside Vrindavan. The devotees outside Vrindavan study how great the inhabitants of Vrindavan are. But the inhabitants of Vrindavan don't care to know how great Krishna is. That is the difference between them. So our concern should be simply to love Krishna. The more we love Krishna, the more we shall become perfect. It is not necessary to understand Krishna and how he creates. Krishna explains himself in the Bhagavad Gita and we should not try to understand much more. We should not bother very much to know Krishna. That is not possible. We should simply increase our unalloyed love for Krishna. That is the perfection of life. So Prabhupada is trying to tell us that hear from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is telling about himself from Bhagavad Gita. So hear from Bhagavad Gita, hear from Bhagavatam. Don't think you're going to do some research work and read all the Vedas. There's so many Vedas and all that. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. We want to know Krishna, understand him from Bhagavad Gita, from Bhagavatam, from the Bhakti Shastras. That's all. That's all, because by our limited mind, we will not be able to approach Krishna if we go the mental way, the mental speculation way. But hear about Krishna. Here, Prabhupada is saying, develop the love for Krishna. Develop love for Krishna. How can we develop love for Krishna? Hear about him from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, from the devotees. And that's why simply try to increase our unalloyed love for Krishna. So the Brajbasis, they are not caring about trying to understand the people of Hastinapur, But the people of Hastinapur are trying to understand how great the Brajvasis are. Why? Because they are not concerned about anything else rather than loving Krishna. And that is the highest perfectional stage, the highest perfectional stage. And how can we reach there? By hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting. By hearing from Bhagavad Gita, we are getting to know Krishna. We are getting to know Krishna by hearing from Bhagavad Gita. By hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, we are getting to know Krishna. So, and by hearing from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, that is bhakti. It is bhakti. By trying to understand Bhagavad Gita, that is bhakti actually. It is not some mundane knowledge. No, it is concerning Krishna. So this is devotional. It is devotional service. Is that okay? So we should try to understand more and more Bhagavad Gita, more and more Bhagavatam. What is Krishna trying to say? What is Krishna trying to say? Yes. And in this way, increase our love for Krishna by more hearing and more chanting. Any comments?
This is very, very beautiful. Yeah. The perfection of life is to only increase your love for Krishna without trying to understand how things are.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening in and joining in. Kunti Maharani ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.